I just added him. Hopefully, it should all be good. Okay.
Do you think Rekieta tried to sell the ball? This is from Gino. He asked, "Do you think Rekieta tried to sell the Baldo when he got caught wearing it during the strip search, or was he too embarrassed?"
His
All right, guys.
behavior
I'm gonna make a call.
during that police thing was such an infantile, cunt, arrogant response. It was so. When I was reading the police report, I was like, all of this is so perfectly Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Sean,
right. We got
buddy.
Sean. Yeah, Sean, man. Nice to finally talk to you.
Yes.
It's
Wow,
been,
Sean.
yeah, we've talked about you. You talked about us, and now we're talking to you. Wow.
Sean, do you have any questions for Aaron or any thoughts?
I mean, I know you've already talked a bunch, Aaron, and I know you've admitted to a bunch of things that are technically, I don't know whether or not you could be charged with crimes or anything like that. But have you been interviewed by the police at all since?
Not yet.
Last
Not
week.
yet. I've been called. I've been contacted. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we boost Sean's volume
I
a
did.
little bit?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can say is I would recommend you speak with an attorney, not Nick, but another attorney.
No,
Go and talk with them.
I've talked with an attorney in conjunction with the authorities before these appearances.
You have.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did you tell them? Like, if you could give us the gist of, like, did you say, "Oh, I'm going to reveal the story and everything and all that stuff"?
I've been told the degree to which the crimes I've personally committed, as far as my contact with the police, are not crimes that I can be charged with. Like the consumption of drugs and things like that is not something they're really interested in after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
What I was told was we would have to arrest every celebrity who goes on a podcast and talks about their drug use.
And I'm not talking about that because there's other things that you haven't talked about or that I didn't hear that you may have done that could possibly get you into liability. So that's why I was just.
I understand. No, I understand.
Like your dead hookers and shit,
Well,
you were saying earlier?
Speaking of which, I wanted to get this in.
I'll tell you this, boys. I've given you the worst of what I've done.
Okay, cool.
Chef Red Pill asks, how often did Rekieta drive drunk or high?
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell if Nick was driving high. First of all, the high of Coke is so fast. So I don't know if he did. As far as driving drunk goes, I will say this about Nick, so it's not just a total, bash fest or whatever. When he was at my house and he had to drive home, he was cognizant of how many drinks he consumed.
Okay.
Did he ever drive drunk with his wife or kids in the car?
Not that I ever saw.
Do you know if his Rumble contract was ever renewed?
Don't think it was, because he kept saying, like, it's coming, it's on its way, they're sending it, we're just working on a few things, and we're just, I never heard, and again, I've been gone for 7 weeks, so I don't know, but I never heard that it had been finalized.
Baldo Blaster asks, was Nick lying about hating weed?
Nick wasn't a weed guy.
Okay.
Nick liked to skip right to the,
the hard stuff.
The food chain.
And Anon for 5 asks, do you believe that Rekieta got sloppy toppy from your wife on the Coke stream? Or do you believe in an alternate theory? Was he jerking off?
I watched your guys' coverage of that. She would have had to be like way worse off than I thought she was. And again, I've been gone for a while. Because that wasn't really her style.
But she was fucked out of her mind, If
she was out of her skull, who knows?
If she was at his level, which she might have been, because they were taking the breaks together, drinking. We heard some bottles and stuff. And I swear, I know Medicare was saying yesterday he's like skeptical. But if you boost that audio, you hear. And he was
at this point, I think this is the least of our worries.
Every ambient noise could be picked up.
That is true.
Hence the ghost hunting shows. At this point, I think that's the least of everybody's worries based on what's been revealed tonight.
Yeah.
It was a lot more than some sloppy toppy and many, many times allegedly. But Sean, welcome to the program.
Sean,
I think those are all the main super chat questions.
Yes.
Sean, give us your thoughts on what we've just heard from Aaron. Did you know
anything you like
anything you want to say, and then we'll start getting into some law stuff with you.
The only thing I do. Oh, hold on, guys. 1 second.
You're good.
I got to get the dogs. Hold on.
No problem.
Oh, Jesus.
Did he just book it?
Shane Diesel asks you, Aaron, do you think Nick is bisexual? Do you think Ricade is bi?
I didn't get that vibe.
Okay.
He's really into control, though. Like, he's really into knowing what we did and knowing what we were doing. And I think there was a lot of insecurity. It always seemed like Nick had 1 foot in being down with all this, and then 1 foot in like being possessive of his wife at the same time. It was very strange.
N-Word Journey asked, did Nick ever talk to you about the Montegraph case?
No, we never talked about it that much. And I never brought it up because I kind of thought it was a sensitive subject. Right. So I never really brought it up much.
Chef Red Pill also asked, why was Ricada following black escorts on Twitter? How much was he spending on whores?
He was very generous on his birthday. He bought us private VIP room dances with strippers.
Oh,
because he's such a godly man.
He was a baller, huh?
Yeah.
And Josh Moon, Anime God for 10. Did Ricada ever talk about streamer I Hypocrite or Vito?
Yeah, we talked about the Vito thing. Where, like, he just defended Vito by saying, "Oh, everybody says that about him because he defended the movie Cuties and said people shouldn't watch it." The other one, I don't remember him talking about them.
All right.
He didn't spend a lot of time talking about streamers. I'll be honest.
Yeah. What would he talk about? Just real fast. Like, what was like the train of thought when you're fucked up?
Can we stop for a little bit and go do something? That's a lot of the conversation.
Oh, really?
No. It was they would, Nick and April would always say to Kayla, because sometimes they would pull me aside and talk shit about Kayla, and then sometimes they would pull Kayla aside and talk shit about me. It was very strange. But one thing they always said, Kayla would always come to me and goes, yeah, they pulled me aside and said, we think Aaron's trying to control our use. And I'm like, yeah, to zero. Like, I'd like you guys to stop. It would be nice if my wife wasn't face down into cocaine when I walked into your bathroom. I remember when they had just come back with a new haul, if you will. I walked into the bathroom and I see the woman I married. Not that, as Ashton would say, not that I can really talk about the sanctity of marriage, but I saw her with 2 fucking credit cards chopping up this big mountain of coke. And she looks at me smiling and she goes, honey, see, because she would always try to tell me it's not that bad. And I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable with it. It hurts me to see you doing it. It's making you less, like attentive towards the children. She wasn't doing it while the children were around, but I'm saying like she wanted to be there doing that more than like she would come home really late sometimes. Like I would go home earlier because I would have to take care of the kids and I didn't want them there. And I would tell her, hey, just make sure you're home to tuck the kids in with me. And she would show up at like 11 at night. And the kids would have already been in bed. And that would piss me off. And I go, you got to stop doing drugs. You got to start being here for the kids. And we'd have a big fight. But when she would tell me, she goes, no, you should just come into the bathroom with me when I'm doing it. And you'll see it's not so bad. And I'm like, that's the opposite of what I'm talking about. So when I saw her, fucking Chef Boyardian with the goddamn powder, she looks at me and she goes, see, honey? This big smile on her face. See, honey, it's not that bad, is it? And I remember looking at her and going, this is actually one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is not, I'm not.
Like you're the hero in all these stories,
No, I'm a complete piece of shit. I'm talking about fucking another guy's wife in half these stories. I don't think that's what the hero does.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like, so you were upset about it. You didn't stop it. And that's what makes you a piece of shit.
Yeah, I couldn't save their kids. I couldn't save Kayla. I couldn't get April to stop doing it. Yeah, I failed at by every measure of helping people with any drug problem. I failed miserably.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Sean, let's say hi to Sean here. He's been sitting here. Yo, yeah, Sean, yeah. I had linked his fucking YouTube. I'm going to link your YouTube over here. Everyone go check out Sean. We've run into each other through, like happenstance, a list of clips, a lot of that stuff too. But yeah, give us your take, just overall.
I mean, it's sad to see. I mean, I know for the A-logs out there and everybody who, this is a fun day and all that, and I get that for their side of it. But yeah, it's sad to see somebody, going through all this. And, the one thing people, yes, he's innocent until proven guilty, but Nick also has problems. I mean, let's say he's right. We don't know the whole story. The drugs aren't an issue. He's got a big old drinking problem, and he needs to get right on that. I will say the one thing you guys were talking about earlier tonight about what Kayla was charged with, and it was about the way it's listed with abuse and neglect and all that. I think that, their government workers, whoever typed it in, put in the wrong code section, because instead of A2, there's a B2 section, which reflects with the top one, which is, neglecting the children in a way for just their normal care, and that lists out the penalty for it.
Okay.
So I think that's...
So the charge is more that they just didn't take care of their kids, not that they were molested or beaten.
No, I don't... That's...
Thank God.
I don't think anything... Well,
yeah, because I couldn't see her doing that. That's so out of character.
Okay.
And once again, that's all we have from that. I know you've said from what you know, Aaron, and from what you've been there, and I can't take your word for it at this point because I don't know anything else about it. But yes, the police said, like, oh, the house was all, they said it was fucked up, but what does that actually mean? And I will say, from where we go from here, we aren't going to know a whole lot right away, because the way it works in Minnesota, Nick's been charged. That's basically his indictment. That hearing in August is going to be the suppression hearing. They're going to challenge everything. That's where the fight's going to happen if they do have a fight. So what we know now, we'll probably know a little bit more drips and drabs, but I don't think we're going to know a ton until we see the filings from his attorney and whoever he hired, and whoever Kayla hires.
Maybe also just, I want to say one thing here. Okay, thank God there was no sexual or physical abuse. But with that being said, not feeding your kids, being on drugs, being drunk, doing all this fucking degenerate shit with kids in the house is not as bad as raping them, but it's fucked and horrible. And it's like, thank God, it's like the lowest bar possible. Thank God they weren't molested.
Yes.
Like, that's the lowest bar in the world right now, okay? Guns and shit,
To correct you on one thing, their kids weren't starved. I mean, they didn't eat the best. I mean, there's a lot of fast food and, easy to make stuff, but they weren't starved.
They didn't eat the best. I'm sorry, this guy's supposed to be a pillar of the community. He's supposed to be the father of 5 children.
You're
He's
talking
supposed
about
to be a lawyer. He's supposed to be a lawyer, for fuck's sake. He's supposed to be a leader in his church. He was teaching children at the church, and his own children are having to eat fast food, while his wife is supposed to be a stay-at-home mom that takes care of them, but they're too strung out on drugs to figure it out.
I really have to stop splitting hairs around Ashton. He'll eat you alive.
But this is really just crazy that people are coming out here and defending this today. Like, Uncivil Law, Buddy in Houston, is sitting there defending this shit, saying the mandatory reporter was wrong to report this, that the children should have been left in this drug den. And it's like, I just can't understand how these people just have zero humanity. They're only looking to make $1 off of their association with Rekieta, and it's shameful as fuck. Nobody can just come out and say the truth. And you, Sean, were probably the closest out of all the lawyers in LawTube to really actually saying the truth to Rekieta, and you still made it very, round off the edges, be very delicate with this guy. He wouldn't fucking listen. Yeah. And these people are still sweeping out. What do you think of this shit, Sean?
I mean, when it comes to the whole issue about the pastor and what he did, he went a week ago, and the police had their warrant. Obviously, the pastor coming in and saying, I think them darn Rekieters are dopers. They aren't getting a search warrant for that. I think they probably had a lot more collaboration for whatever evidence they had. Now, do I trust the police? No. Do I think the government's full of crooked people? Sure. But going off of my practice and experience of doing this for a while, something happened and they got some information. I don't know what it was, but this also turns into the police, if it wasn't if it's not 25 grams of snow, what was it, like 4 or 5? I mean, that's kind of like,
Sean,
you know what I
hate
mean?
to
Like,
cut
that's my
you off,
point.
but is Rekieta O.J. Simpson? Like,
No.
is this where the defense is going? That the drugs were planted?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
This is a conspiracy by the law department.
They
Like,
might-
Sean, like, I'm going to
Yeah.
just be honest with you. Like, does that,
Mhm.
like, cannot hold any sort of water with you, Sean? Like, as it, like a reasonable person with a brain in your fucking head.
No,
Do
no,
you
I
seriously think that Nick Rekieta is in a conspiracy that Joe Biden cooked up because he's embarrassing the government? Because this is the shit I'm hearing.
Yeah, like I said, based on my experience and how things have gone in my time as an attorney, no, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is like, where you have a client. I didn't do X. Okay, well, did you do Y? Or did you partially do X? Like, how much of X did you do? They're claiming you did X 7 times. Well, you only did it 3. Okay, like, this is where, there's more to it. Well, I don't know how much more there is to the cops claiming they found a bunch of stuff. Now, yes, there was a search warrant. Nick could contest that search warrant. Maybe he gets it suppressed. Cool. If he does, great. And the cops fucked up, then that's it. But the idea, like, that it's all planted, or the preacher did something, I'm sure that was the last step. I mean, we've heard Nick talk about the Scandinavian incel prudes, and I'm sure they said, like, hey, Nick, are you doing okay, buddy? Like, how are things going? Can we help you at all? You're looking a little rough. Was it a rough night streaming? And I'm sure there were multiple attempts, just like all of us who are honest about it have said, hey, Nick, you all good, man? Is there anything, like, what's going on? What, like, talk, oh, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm sure that it wasn't just the pastor going,
but
fuck this guy.
firsthand, Sean, how he is.
Yeah.
You know firsthand. So the pastor probably did. We don't know. But he probably did go to Rekieta a number of times and try, because Rekieta kept bitching about the church on his stream, didn't he? A number of times.
And like I said, the pastor just going there alone, that wouldn't be enough. Saying, "Oh my God, they're doing drugs and they're drinking, and they're treating their kids poorly." That wouldn't be enough for the police.
You think one of the kids tipped off the cops?
I don't know.
Because one of the kids wasn't there. And
well,
it might have been the oldest.
One of the kids, the oldest one, does go to a school. So in the morning, he goes off to school.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he probably going to school. I don't know. I don't know what happened, and that's something I want to see the affidavit for the search warrant, because they're going to need more than just the pastor saying, "Oh, I think there's something bad."
All right, so you're looking at this from a purely legal point of view, which I understand, Sean.
I mean, here's what I'll say. On its face, it doesn't look. This isn't good. This is not good.
No, but Sean, it's beyond that.
No, it's
as someone who was there, I can almost, when I read the police report, I can visualize in my brain, like I recorded it, where they went, what they did, exactly where they found it.
Okay.
It makes it's spot on. I mean, to me, like as a guy who's been there for a long time, this is almost a dead to rights situation.
Well, I guess I'll say it like this, PPP. If it's 50% true, this is awful. If it's 15% true, this is awful. If it's 5% true, this is awful.
Are you really going to close your eyes and ears to the testimony this man just gave? Are you actually going to close your eyes and ears and pretend like nothing is the miss? Because let's be real, it's probably
I said?
No, but it's like let's be real. This is 100% true, and probably more so than even what the charges are.
Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to tell you. I don't think the cops planted 25 grams of coke in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure that's what they found. And people are online saying, "Oh, well, they were doing it in their safe." It's like, yeah, that's not how this works. You don't responsibly ride the white stallion in a home full of children.
I suppose. Okay, what's happening here is.
No, yes, I do agree, but I'm also trying to explain it both ways.
I'm not really mad at you. I'm just more mad at all the other lawyers that I've seen take a similar tone. Not to say that you are sweeping this up, but they've used this legalistic argument to try and sweep up all this bullshit. And this goes beyond just the bounds of the law. Like this is decent humanity and morality in this instance.
And unlike many of the times where we cover stuff and we're like, we don't know shit about the story other than what's in the news or in a court filing, we know quite a bit because we've dealt with Nick or interacted with him. And yes, Aaron, I don't doubt you are telling the truth to an extent. I just don't know how much truth you're telling. Okay?
I mean,
Like,
this is,
I'm not
everything I've seen. I can't tell you anything I haven't seen.
No, I understand that, and I understand that, but I think you get where I'm coming from. That I don't know fully everything you've seen. I fully don't know all your intentions or motivations. I don't think you're making this all up, but I'm not 100%
somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you have to. I think you have to be fair on that.
I think too what's annoying is like people like who are covering it, like us, who might add a joker here or maybe like laugh at watching Rekieta be out of his mind and whatever. We're now like the bad guys. We're the pieces of shit. When meanwhile, Rekieta's like, pray for him while there's coke and guns around the kids. It's like, how about this? How about we've been telling you guys for fucking a year now, and we've been blasted by the community, but that we're pieces of shit, we're making shit up, we're liars, and then we're going, we told you so, but now we're the bad guys again. Still.
Now, with that said,
I'll say this. We were the liars because while Andy and Ashton were making all these accusations, people like me were running cover on our streams and going, oh, you guys are insane. Oh, Andy, you're full of shit, this and that. Yeah. I was the liar. I was the one running cover. I was the one doing PR. While these guys, like I said, 30% of the shit they say, it's like they were in the fucking room.
Yeah. And that's why, But we understand. I understand, Sean, like your point of view. You're, like in law tube, and you look at things from a legal perspective.
Looking at from a purely legal.
Exactly.
Well, I look at, but also I think yes, he needs to get his shit right. I've said that many a time.
You have. No, I'm saying that you have for sure.
He needs to get right with his life.
Let me ask you something, Sean.
I will say this: he won't because he doesn't think he has a problem.
That's where I was about to go with this. So, Sean. Rekieta has been posting on Instagram and on locals. Would you advise him it's wise to do that?
No, I tell him to be radio silent if he was my client.
Okay.
And I mean that's the
follow up.
Just like Alec Baldwin. After Alec Baldwin shot that lady. Yeah, no, we're not giving a fucking interview. We're shutting the fuck up.
Follow up. He said that he wouldn't go to rehab because he knows how the criminal justice system works.
It's funny.
Would you advise for him if you were his lawyer, Sean? Would you advise him not to go to rehab on the basis that it would make him look guilty, or would you advise him to go to rehab to try and make the plea deal better, Sean?
From someone who has experience in the criminal justice system, I've had clients. Hey, you got a DUI? Do you have a problem? Oh, okay, cool. Let's get you into AA. Let's get you into some groups. Get you into something. Because I don't have to go tell the prosecutor you're doing all this stuff. And the idea necessarily they'd show that against you, like, what's the relevance of that? Because that's a thing way after the fact. You don't have to tell anybody you're in rehab. But yes.
So Sean, he's just totally full of shit.
I mean,
well, the first thing my lawyer told me, he goes, I don't know why this guy isn't. What he said about Kayla was she needs to get into rehab, file for divorce, go into therapy, do all of these things, say that she, brainwashed, I was manipulated, I was controlled, blah, 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 blah. Women in the justice system, when they go this route, usually do pretty well. I don't think there's any attorney out there who, if their client went, I'm going to go to rehab after my drug arrest, would go, you're a fucking sucker, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't run around screaming to the world all your actions. Keep your shit private. But
what?
I mean, he's telling people, Sean, on Instagram that we
those
haven't saw what we saw. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen. We've always seen his words on a paper. But once again, PPP, is he going to say, haha, it was only a little bit of what they're saying? If it's only a little bit of what they're saying, that's an absolute fucking disaster.
Yeah.
So
Can you walk me through? So we don't know exactly for sure, but the cops did have a warrant, and they showed it to Nick. Now, we don't know the timeline of when they showed it to Nick. Do they have to show it to Nick before they go into the house?
No, because if they want to serve they just have to show. He has the right to see the warrant as they're serving it. So there's no. I don't know the exact. When you read the complaint, was he on the road when they still stopped him? And how all that worked out. That's not that big of a deal. That's not like a you have to do the magic spell in the right order, it falls apart. It's really about, was there enough probable cause in the search warrant? And once again, I'm sure that what the pastor said is in there, but part of a search warrant is you've got to have particularity. Like, how do they know what they're going to find? And getting a search warrant for kids getting neglected isn't how that works. If there's allegations of kids getting neglected, that's when the lady from Children's Services comes and knocks on your door and says, hey, I'm here to make a house call. They were going there because they were told there were drugs, and I'm sure for, Cooterville County, Minnesota, 25 grams of coke is probably one of their biggest drug busts they've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
Candy Ojai, Sean.
Yes, Candy Ojai. I know.
So, Sean, I'm not asking you this from a legal perspective because I know what your position is on the police and cooperating with the police. I know you don't believe in cooperating with the police under any circumstances. However, from a moral perspective, Sean, how do you feel about Rekieta with his daughter at the door, not giving the code and forcing the police in the face of his little girl to break down the door with a battering ram? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, that's where I think there's an issue. Because, yes, they hit the door. I know they clearly did because they had to open it that way. Now, did they hit it like the SAS hitting the Iranian embassy in 1980, like on TV, where they just like blew it off the hinges? No. I'm sure they gave it a couple of whacks and went in, but I'm sure those kids seeing a couple of deputies running in with rifles like this or shotguns like this wasn't the thing those kids needed to see.
Yeah.
No, I think that was I think that's going to be horrible for them. I mean, that alone is going to be a traumatic experience. Seeing your mom and dad getting hauled off in cuffs, and then your grandparents coming to get you, and the kids are going to know. They might not know exactly what's happening, but they're going to know from looking at everybody else that, shit's not right. I mean, yes, that was probably, Nick talks about the worst day of his life. This is probably the worst day of those kids' lives.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get it from you, like, as straight as I can, because I know you're a lawyer, and I know the way you have to answer. And we'll ask you lawyerly questions, and you can pontificate to us about the law.
But yes, was it the smartest move in that regard? No. But I also, the idea, like, I know on the farms, a couple people are saying, like, oh, well, the kid could have got hurt, but like they, if you've seen the house, there's like windows. They probably like get back from the door. It wasn't like the kid was sitting there playing with like marbles and the door got smashed open. Like, we need to have a little bit of like balance on like how this actually occurred.
Okay. Do you have any questions
on the farms? Yeah, I am on the farms.
Yeah, you are on the farms. Okay. Yeah. I got to ask you, like, do you think it was Kiwi Farms' fault that all this happened?
None of this is the farms' fault. And the funny thing is that when the last time I was on with Nick and we were talking about shit towards the end, I mentioned it. It's all self-induced, and Nick said, I agree. The farms have not, like, this is not attributable to the farms at all. Like, what did they do? They documented stuff. And it turns out a bunch of it was right. Sure, was some of it speculation at the time? Speculation based on, reason and hunches and just common sense? Sure. But they were right. The farms is right, and sometimes they're wrong. But the idea that, like, oh, the farms made you do something, that's the farm. If they made you do something, then you are a horrible fucking excuse for your human being that these people can manipulate you into doing something.
Because I'll ask you, like, Dragon, like, Megan Fox has been out there saying it was Kiwi Farms that led to this happen. Like, you don't agree with her?
No. And I'm sure she thinks, oh, it's Kiwi, like Russell Greer, Kiwi Farms is the hardship. It's all full of Nazis and horrible fucking people. Like, no, they're not.
The farms put the coke up his nose.
Yeah. Nobody did any of this. The farms didn't sit there and make him, like, butt chug half a fifth of vodka before he came on the last time.
No, that was my idea, actually.
It's a pretty slick idea. Worked good.
Pretty good, right?
We have a direct question from the super chats for you, Sean.
Sure.
He says, is Rekieta going to lose his license for child endangerment? It's a crime of moral turpitude. No.
No. I mean, you could get suspended for a lot of things, but like the death penalty, like complete disbarment, you've got to be stealing client money, things like that. Otherwise, that's the death penalty for attorneys. That's the cardinal sin. The other stuff, attorneys have a lot of problems. He'll get suspended at some point, but that's if he gets convicted. I mean, for right now, they aren't going to touch him. But Yeah, certainly that could be an issue for him.
What's your bearing on this? Do you think he'll take this to trial?
I do.
I'm sure he's
I
sitting
do
there
too.
I think he will.
I've had many a client where they're like, I'm gonna go to trial. I'm gonna fight this shit, and it's something I've learned. I learned from a client when I was like, I first started as an attorney and I was in a public defender's office. He said everybody's a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit, and gangster shit means sitting in front of a box of 12 people when the prosecutor points at you and says, "That's the bad man sitting right there."
Yeah. If Nick brings
if you haven't sat at a table with somebody when that happens, it's a fucking like the first time I sat there with a guy by myself. Whew, even I felt awkward.
I don't know who can talk sense into him, because it sounds like he doesn't think he did anything wrong and there's still a way out. I mean, he's Hitler in the bunker at this point. He's commanding fake armies in Downfall. Like, this guy still thinks there's a way out of this. And also, if he brings that same retarded lawyer that he brought to his first court appearance into trial, he's going to get fucking smoked.
Yeah,
Sean,
right now, sure. I would, if I was his attorney, I'd say, sure, right now we're prepared to go to trial. Then once we get all the evidence, that's when we might have to have a sit down and say, okay, here are your options. Do you really want to go to trial? And that's when we talk about whether or not it's a good idea or a really, really bad idea.
How do you think, I know this is like a little bit out of the blue, but how do you think that all of this will affect the thing with Montegraph? Like, do you think he's going to be forced to settle, or what?
It's not, well, I mean, it's one, now Nick's got a real problem. I mean, Montegraph, that lawsuit was a problem, but now he's got like a real problem, a criminal problem hanging over his head.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to incentivize him to want to settle. I mean, if Monty's out there, Monty's going to be able to sit there and like, no, fuck you. Now I don't want to, like, I want to settle for even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Monty might twist the knife. I don't know. Monty might be magnanimous.
Thoughts on this? The judge in that civil trial is now the same judge assigned to his criminal trial that Nick Rekieta, called like a stupid bitch, and there's been a past between them. How do you see that affecting things, Sean?
Well, I mean, it sounds like she's got some fucking issues, because that trial Nick had where his client got nuked by her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but that judge did a bunch of bullshit. She punished that woman for having counsel, that she retained counsel. All the shit she did should have been appealable. And, Nick challenged her in the elevator afterwards. Like, homie, that's where you need to stand up and call the fucking judge out. Like, that's the time to do it. And he just kind of...
Yeah.
He sat there and got, kind of cucked by her. Like, he didn't have you got to say, no, Your Honor, that's wrong. So if I was Nick, does he probably have grounds to possibly show some bias? Maybe. But there's a couple of the judges in that county. She might just wipe her hands of it and be done. I don't know.
I think she would want that case, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but that's why she shouldn't have it.
I know.
But personally, she wants it. Yeah.
She might want it. I don't
want to deal with his retarded ass too, though.
Yeah, I don't think she's recusing herself, though.
She might look at her like judge across the hall and say "suffer" and kick the case over to him.
But Sean, when you're a lawyer and you're in like a small like state or community, is it really wise to shit talk a judge in the elevator after a trial? Like, is that really wise, Sean?
No, I don't shit talk the judges in my state, because I might need to be in front of them. That's why I shit on judges everywhere else.
No, Sean,
how is this guy a lawyer, Sean?
Sean, I have to ask you, is it less or more so retarded to talk shit about that judge when you also have a bathroom full of cocaine in your house?
I mean, I would argue that's probably not a strategy.
Really? It's not brilliant? It's not smart?
No, I wouldn't say that's well-advised.
There, but for the grace of God go I, Mr. Rekieta.
All right, Aaron, I'm just wondering what we do at this point. Do we keep the full panel? Do we bring it to just Sean? Aaron is.
You know what,
I mean-
honestly, dude, like honestly, I can like make a dick joke here and there to the brilliant legal perspective that Sean gives. I don't know how useful I am with him.
I'm not
here.
F. Lee Bailey. Don't kid yourself.
I don't know. See, you just said that, and I just went, does he mean the guy from Scarface? F.
No, the
Murray
guy
Abraham,
who
or-
kept on dropping the N
I know,
bomb.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I know.
Well, I was gonna say, okay, everyone, go follow Steel Toe. I'm sure you're gonna be talking about this.
We'll go on tomorrow. I think Gino Bisconti and I are going to go on
Gino
tomorrow.
Bisconti, yeah. All right.
Gino and I
Now,
will go over the arraignment stuff, and I know we're late to it, but I just want to keep my normal streaming schedule.
Yeah,
I don't
of
want to
course.
sit here
Of
and go
course.
live all the time like some kind of fucking vulture. So we'll kind of go over the arraignment and the police report. Again, like the total retarded, non-legal person I am, and I'll just kind of talk about more shit that I might relate to in those reports. And then, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow, probably around 7 o'clock Central Time.
Now we got a
All right.
question for you, Aaron, from Tallyman. Did Nick ever force you to
man,
watch?
he's a dipshit.
Did he ever force you to watch American Beauty, or did you ever watch American Beauty in Ricardo? Or did he tell you about American Beauty?
We never watched American Beauty. He's got a thing for the shittier John Carpenter films, but never American Beauty.
Oh, I have a question. What was that joke about the Denny's and the cop at Denny's?
Yeah.
Do you know? Can you describe like the joke? No, you don't know about
The cop at Denny's.
No.
All right, you don't know.
I mean, that.
Anyone?
I don't know. I still don't get it.
Oh boy.
I don't know the Denny's cop joke. I
So
don't.
we
It's
have
just
a pretty.
apparently cops are too retarded to understand what they order at Denny's. It was really.
Yeah.
Was it I'm
So
guessing this
we
joke
have-
was not good.
It was.
No,
It was
no,
terrible.
it was no. It's been a meme.
I spent
ever
time
since.
trying to think about this joke one day.
Now,
I would really prefer that Ashton tell the joke.
Oh fuck! I couldn't tell it in a million years.
Oh, yeah.
Red
What's the
Tail
clip
asked
of it?
Sean, "Will we for sure get the body cam footage, and if so, when?"
It's gonna. I was just thinking about this. There's only like 40,000 people in this county. They may not have body cams. We might
I
just get a
thought
stack
about
of
it.
pictures.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
But there might.
yeah,
be
we'll get it
pictures.
at some point. But it's
Really.
Yeah, I mean, what? That there's places that don't have body cams.
No, I'm saying that like there's a possibility
Oh,
that this
I have a
footage
question.
really will be released. That's crazy.
Well,
I have
at
a question.
at the end of the day, it's once the case is all said and done, 100%. But in the meantime, people are trying to FOIA it a special way. Minnesota's got some weird laws about that. And, who's to say Nick doesn't get a hold of the discovery and start showing it on his own, or it leaks? I mean, we got that police report talking about the preacher, which kind of leaked. Like, stuff drips out all the time.
Here, I have a question.
Some
What
asshole
will
might go on the internet and say everything.
Listen to this. What will Law 2's cope be when the body cam footage is released with mountains of cocaine and ketamine? What will they say? What will Law 2 say?
I don't know, because I can't speak for I can't speak for them. Somebody's telling me apparently they do have body cams.
Okay.
It looks like they might.
Oh
So-
god.
No.
And you're saying that it's pretty much inevitable that if there are body cams, we will see it at some point.
Yes, at some point or another.
Even
And
if
at the very least, once Nick's attorneys start challenging things, we're going to find out a lot more, because they're going to be filing stuff, and there might even be exhibits attached. So, and the state will probably respond with their own stuff. So we're going to find out a lot.
I got to
during
ask
the
you
summer.
one thing. People were bringing into question whether or not Rekieta would be allowed to represent his own wife, like how that went down at the arraignment. Is that something that should technically happen, or no? Him
That
representing
shouldn't
his
have
own wife.
happened. It
Yeah.
shouldn't have happened, but it's for an arraignment. It's not like they're all going to get out. It was a nonviolent crime. They're first-time offenders. There was no point keeping them in the jail. So, with that being said, since they're co-defendants, whatever he talked to her about, there might not, might be all admissible evidence, because it might be the crime fraud exception, even if they grant that he was representing her for that time, or if they weren't, then there was no attorney-client privilege. So whatever they talked about, since it's at the jail, there's a good chance that it might have been recorded, and that might be admissible, because I don't know they were gone for a while. in between
Right.
his arraignment and her arraignment.
Yeah.
Now, the charges were dropped against April.
Mhm.
Does that necessarily mean she's turned to state, or does it mean there wasn't enough evidence? Because they charged her and then they dropped the charges, right? What happened? What do you think happened there?
It's possible she's talking. It's possible she ran a gossip column with the police about what happened. But Nick also took up for her and said, "Hey, she was just visiting, man. She doesn't know about any of it. No, it's all mine and Kayla's," which that's great. Throw your fucking wife under the bus when you're talking to the fucking police.
If I may, from firsthand knowledge, totally something he'd do. I mean, that part
based on what you said, yes,
he
he Captain Save-A-Hoed someone other than his wife, which is.
Thank you for calling my future ex-wife a hoe. I appreciate it, but
Well,
don't worry.
I mean,
we've both been saying it.
Now,
if I could, real quick, John, but like. Now, Kayla, I thought also in the report called April their live-in nanny. So those two conflict.
Oh,
yeah, and I think because they don't know it, they could charge her later if they want to. So they might have just said.
I was about to ask that
because if it's hard to tell, and then also she may have talked, she may have cut a deal.
She did say it was a weird text where she said, you know, the charges have been dropped. I'm not an addict. Somebody did this to me.
Yeah, it's almost like she's setting up for when it's released what she said.
What her
it's
story
like,
is.
well, look, I texted that right after I was released.
Now, I'm going to ask this, Sean. If she really is going to testify against them, how bad is that for Rekieta and Kayla?
I mean, if whatever the police found, they found in there. So she's going to say, yeah, it's in the house. They do it. So I don't know how much, unless there's other crimes or other information that's out there she could provide. Because whatever they found in their master bedroom. So it's presumed it's Nick and Kayla's. There would be control over it by them. I don't know what more April could say saying, yup, it's theirs.
What if she said that he sold it?
April has been with Nick. According to Kayla, this is what Kayla told me now. April has been with Nick to pick it up.
Yeah, so maybe, and that's the thing, like, yeah, that might be, they might have used April for, like, where is he getting it? Where does he get his re-up at? Who's supplying? But that might be for providing extra information, because I'm sure they tried to ask Nick about that, but in the report they mentioned we tried to talk to him about that, and he wouldn't talk about it, so.
Do you think the trafficking is going to stick?
Well, he's not been charged with trafficking.
No.
It's just possession.
Okay. Is it just possession? I thought if it was above that 25-gram threshold, it was trafficking.
No, because you can possess a shitload of it. It's just the more and more you have, the cops are probably thinking, well, you're selling. But this is a guy with a lot of money. And also, I mean, I told this to Ralph. Imagine if Nick's the drug dealer of your neighborhood. I'd go fucking rob him. It's not like he's going to be able to stop me.
I saw you say that.
I mean, yeah, like seriously, what? Like you kick in, like I come in the room, like what's Nick gonna do? I mean,
well, what do you make of that? He had a
drunk Nick.
What do you make of the police said there was a scale, a funnel, and baggies?
The scale. I will tell you this.
I was gonna say
they would pour their lines right out of the baggies, and also the scale he used to measure Molly doses.
Yeah. Well, Worski, I'm not, and I brought this up with Ralph, but I'm gonna just ask you in your experience of Red and the White Stallion. You got pretty good with the metric system, right?
Yeah.
So you made sure you got really damn sure about how much you're using, how much is.
Yeah. You don't just go like, here it is. Let's. Yeah. No, you go. Okay,
you know how much is in that bag when you're done.
Yes. Of course.
Yeah. So
also, when you purchase, you want to make sure you weren't ripped off. Right? Yeah. You're like, was this guy ripping me off or whatever? Yeah.
Imagine if you ripped off Nick. What's he going to come knock back on your door? What's he going to do about it?
What do you think the bottom line result? What do you think the most likely result in all of this is, Sean, in terms of a punishment or what do you think?
Like, let's presume that he can't suppress any of the evidence. It all comes in. They're first-time offenders. There's already a presumption that they would get probation no matter what. They have no prior record. It's a non-violent crime. I mean, the system would rather work on rehabilitating people, giving them a chance for diversion or some sort of opportunity for treatment in lieu of a conviction, that they'll be able to do that under supervision from the court. Those types of things are like, minimum 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. They're going to have to complete programming. And I mean, Worski, like, recovery is a long process.
Yeah,
and
it is.
They complete it, and then, might their charges be dropped? Sure. Or dismissed, or they might get pled out to some super really low level stuff. Yeah, something like that.
Well, technically, by the way, it's always ongoing. It's always ongoing.
What do you think, like, the CPS result will be?
Oh, those types of cases, those are like, the trajectory on those is like at least a year minimum.
So you're saying he's not going to see his kids for a year?
No, he'll be able to see his children. He'll probably be able to see them under supervised visitation, meaning Kayla's parents, Kayla's family. Like, he'll be able to go see them. They'll be able to come over. They're not going to be left alone with him. He's not, all kinds of things will still happen. But for right now, he's going to have to stay clean. He's got a criminal case, so that kind of takes precedent to the Children's Services case, because things he might say and do in that case could be admissible against him there. It takes a long time, and a long time for you to show you've got your shit together.
Well, he has to do it. He has to. Like,
the conditions of release, Sean, there's been people arguing that, now what is it? Is he actually still able to drink and do drugs, or what?
It depends. It depends, because in Minnesota there's two types, which, as an attorney in Ohio, it blows my fucking mind this exists this way. If he dropped $50K down on the table, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
So he probably did.
He can leave the state. He cannot have his bond revoked for, like, if there's video of him doing coke, or there's video of him doing whatever. He could be rob a bank. They can't revoke his bond for that action. It would have to be he got in trouble for something else.
So he would be okay to go on live stream tonight with a glass full of whiskey and drink it.
Yes, because that's an unconditional release, which I can't believe that you allow that in that state, but sure. I think he probably got more of the conditional release. I mean, because
that would be to get he and Caleb both out. That would be $100,000 with no conditions, would it not?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he's got it or his family's got it. I mean, they have the ability to pony up $100K.
If his family gives a fuck and wants him to get better, you don't give him a no condition. You put him in a position
full condition.
I agree. Yeah. I agree, but
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not yelling at you.
No. I agree. I who knows? But his family does have the money. I'm sure they can get $100K without flinching.
It's unbelievable.
As they say in the hood, they got stacks on deck.
Yeah, it's
Sean,
unbelievable.
When I look at you, I go, this guy knows what the hood's talking about.
Well, let's say, like, it's insane that he thinks he could come out, speak to everyone, say everyone's a liar after that stream with powder on his nose and being fucked up, and go like, there's no problem here, and be out without no conditions, and we're supposed to go like, oh, pray for him. No. How about this? We pray for him when he wants to be fucking better. Mm-hmm. Well, if he didn't say anything, it would be way fucking better than if he just
Andy,
opened
you're
his
right.
mouth.
Andy, you're right. I can't believe he would say something big like that. He'd have to be a malignant narcissist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so we have a question from a super chatter here, Baldo Blaster for 5. He said, would seeing Nick fucked up on drugs during the appeal stream be enough evidence to get a search warrant? Like, the whole Montegraph stream? No, right.
I mean, they could use it. They could use that as, like, we know this is his home. We could tell from, like, looking at Zillow, this is a studio. He's admitted to being a studio before. It's, probable cause is like a bunch of bricks, and you got to build a high enough wall.
True.
And that's probably a brick in the wall, but it's not a big one.
How about the powder on his nose?
You could. That could be powdered.
I was eating powdered donuts. Yeah.
Okay. I'm working on my ghost costume for Halloween.
Okay,
Now, we got another super chat from Montana 1887 for Sean. For how long did you have a suspicion Nick had a problem? And if so, did you ever try to have a conversation with him about it?
I mean, I'd have to go back through my phone, but I've texted him multiple times over a long while now. Even before him and I had, I got to stand in and be the personification of the farms. You know, hey, is everything all good? You okay? What's going on? No, I'm good. I mean, if that's I can't be like, are you sure? It's like if he says he's good, you know, there's only so much you could do there. But yeah, I think it's clear he's had an issue for a while.
Now,
But
can you
he's-
tell us about the time he yelled at you and
I mean,
kind of
I
what
was-
you were thinking during
we
that?
covered
what
that,
led
yeah,
up
Watch
to
my
it?
glasses. I was sitting there reading the fucking farms while he's yelling at me about the farms. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. It wasn't. I didn't take it personally, and I still don't. I made a joke. I thought it was fucking hilarious about the water tank, and people are now talking about tankless water heater jokes, and I'm like, I fucking came up with that joke.
Do you think that was the
I
liquor
was
doing
just-
the talking there, or the drugs doing the talking? And
I think that was probably just more well, they helped, but I think it was frustration, and I'm like, I made a joke, and I thought he'd laugh at it, and I got to the end, I'm like, I was just trying to make a joke, and he seemed to be cool afterwards. I didn't take it personally. He was I stood in for Josh and I stood in for the farms right there, and I let him do his thing, and when he yelled my name Sean, you could see I look up like, oh hey, what's up?
why didn't you just leave?
Because like I didn't want to do that to him. If I left him there, then he's just
but you're enabling him to abuse you and like vent at you.
and in hindsight, yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
And but I felt if I just left him there, then he's flailing on his own, and I thought that'd be even more pathetic.
Like, for everybody on the panel here, the question I have is, why did nobody ever stand up to this guy? Like, nobody ever told him no. Like, why did nobody ever do that? Like, either of you can answer, but why is it that nobody seems to ever stand up to him?
Nope. I mean, who's around him to stand up to him? He surrounds himself with people that
like yes men.
And he means people like me though, or whoever goes on with him. I mean, there's a reason why I didn't go back on with him after that. I'm like, I don't.
Oh
I don't
really?
need to sit through that. Yeah.
Oh, you never went on after that. So you were
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
I'm like,
Yeah, I respect that.
I don't. I have better. If I want to get screamed at by people, I can go play games on Steam. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Nick does
I go
have
piss
Nick
off
does
my
have a
girlfriend.
nasty habit.
Did you see what Rekieta did to Uncivil Law, by the way, Sean, when he was trying to get him to talk about Michelle Obama?
yes,
And what did you
monkeys and
think
shit,
of that?
yeah.
that was a shitty way to do a joke, and
Mhm.
I think it's the way Kurt is about things. That's not how Kurt does. Kurt doesn't make those kind of jokes. That's not the way he handles himself. So I thought that was kind of shitty.
Yeah, how do you
I
feel
didn't
about
appreciate that?
how do you feel like, after he does that to Uncivil Law,
Mhm.
Uncivil Law takes up for him today and
Yeah.
defends him to the ends of the earth, even after he disrespected him in such a blatant fashion? Why would he do that?
I don't know. And I'm not here. I can't answer for Kurt. And Kurt is a smart guy. I don't know why.
What would your
You know-
guess be?
Like clout, or is he actually emotional? Is he autistic? Like, what's the?
No, well, it's not for clout. Kurt's not a clout guy. I just think for Kurt, he's very loyal, and that's a problem if you're loyal to a fault. That's one of the times where being loyal to a fault's a bit of an issue. That's the
Think it's
best
that
I
he's
can say.
lonely.
I don't know why
Is it
that's
that he
funny.
doesn't have very many friends. I mean, he's been looking for a wife for a long time, can't seem to
Sure.
find one.
I'm not gonna sit here and do that to Kurt.
Fair.
I mean,
And
I'm just starting to say,
and-
like, some people around here should start taking some accountability.
Oh,
and,
I think so.
Like,
I
the
think
truth
so.
should have its day at a certain point.
I
right?
think like I said, I think the idea anybody who goes out there and says, "Oh, the farms did this," that's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, this caused it to happen." No, it didn't fucking cause it to happen. So the people who are out there talking about that, no, that's not how this happened.
Yeah.
I
He did
agree.
what he
I
did.
agree.
I want him to get better, whatever better is.
It's almost
But in
like-
the meantime, you got to pay the piper.
It just feels like sometimes, like with Ashton and I, we were like talking about this for like months. It just felt like we were like, are we in crazy town? Are we the only guys who were like, holy fuck? But now that we know, like, I know people were talking about, to him behind the scenes. And I know an addict has to want to quit to actually like do it. You can't be like, quit alcohol every single day, right? They'll stop talking to you and it's not your responsibility. I do think that some people were enabling him. Not saying that it was you, Sean. But you know, like
I'm gonna go. No, I'm just
I was like, you know, but you know, like, you know, and Aaron, you eventually figured it out and went like, okay, this is fucking ridiculous.
You talk about you and Ashton feeling crazy. Like, be the one person who wants everyone to either cut back on cocaine or stop, and then the other three telling you why it's fine and why you're crazy and you're an asshole. Yes. You're gonna start to think you're a crazy asshole. I mean, you guys are sitting on the internet doing it. I'm sitting here living it towards the end.
Yeah.
A couple times a week. Yeah. And you're just like, once I got away from it and I told people what I did, and then I told people what I tried to,
Didn't you love it though? Didn't you love it at the time though? Because people don't do things they don't enjoy, right?
The first 4 months out of the 6, yeah. Look, man, you're fucking, you're drinking, you're singing karaoke and shit. Yeah, you're in the hot tub, you're having a good time. But then it's like the constant drama. Like, I don't know if you know this. People who are all on coke at the same time, it's just like you're living disaster to disaster. That's drama after drama. They're yelling and screaming at each other. You don't fucking know why. You can't talk to them. You can't reason with them. You just kind of go off and make some fucking SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. Now, I know the...
I mean, Sean, can you believe that this is who Nick Rekieta is?
Yeah, it's crazy.
In hindsight, like now, no, it kind of like it makes all the sense in the world. But yeah, to see where this started from, like he had me on his show, like it's like 2 years ago now. Like, if you would have told me this is where we'd end up right now, I'd have thought you were fucking insane.
Netflix, 100K watching, like literally couldn't even read a super chat under $20, or else it was just like, listen, there's too many.
Yeah,
like the garbage.
Chat was like a machine gun just roaring by.
Yeah, blurry chats, and like honestly, when I watch old footage of Nick, like you forget. Oh, he was good. He was like quick and like very like reasonable. And when he became like comedy Nick, stand up, here's a bit about, you know, Uganda and being all fucking drunk, Nick, it's just like, whoa. It's not the same human being at all. And honestly, I don't think, I believe, you know, what Ashton said on the last show, you know, I was doubtful, but I think Ashton, you were 100% right. This was not Nick's rock bottom, in my opinion. It's got to be what... Yeah.
What do you think, Sean? Is this rock bottom? Do you think he turns it around from here? Or is he going to, you know, dig in his heels?
I don't know. I mean, I will say from dealing with clients and dealing with people who have issues, getting caught doesn't solve the problem. But do I think rock bottom's, you know, 10 years from now? No. Do I think this is probably going to fix it? Sure. It's just, I don't know what this is going to end up. Maybe he ends up getting caught and going back to jail because he uses again. I'm not sure. I mean, it's when you have the fuck you, I'll do what I want mode on, and the court's involved. It ends up usually bad until like
let me
the
ask
court
you
has
this,
to buck
Sean.
break you normally.
Let me ask you this, Sean.
Yeah.
So if he keeps drinking and he keeps doing drugs and then he dies, what do you think the LawTube reaction will be then?
I mean, I really hope at that point people aren't going to say, "Oh, well, the farms did it again," because it's not their fault. I think some people are going to say, like, "Oh no, who would have seen this happening?"
Exactly.
No, and I saw from somebody I've been talking to about this. There's like a group DM where somebody who was like, "Oh, well, you know, I feel like I was the only one to do about it." It's like, no, homie, we all knew there's a problem. We've all talked to him about whether or not he's had a problem, and you know. I've said it before, like, there's shit he's been doing. I've said, I don't approve of it. He shouldn't do it. He needs to stop. You know, at that point, there's only so much I can do.
A lot of them will blame us. People in chat were saying they'll blame the casino.
You guys driving. Yeah, nobody has.
I don't think anybody drove him to this.
No.
But it's like, so is he going to come back and be you think he's going to be welcomed with open arms by LawTube? Everybody will help him raise for his legal fund. You know, they'll all defend him, or like, do you think that they'll say no? Like, I don't want to be associated with this greasy shit.
I think a lot of people will pick up for him in that regard, and I'll give him open arms when he gets his shit sorted out. That's just not right now. It's whenever he gets better. But
Is that when
better
he goes to rehab, Sean?
Better is when he is gone to rehab, has acknowledged whatever it is he's dealing with that he has to deal with. He gets his life on track. He gets his family back on track. Now here's the point, though. It's not factory reset mode. It's never going back to that point.
Yeah.
Better is something better than here. I don't know what that is for him. But yeah, if he's willing to do it and puts in the work, sure. But until then, there's not trying to hang out with me. Like, no, you've got work to do.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Do you think it's right for people to give him a pass?
That's their call. I won't.
You won't. So you'd say it's wrong for them to do so.
For me, I don't like. I don't think you should. But I'm not anybody's dad.
Yeah.
And if you want to give him a pass, that's
So they can get money and viewers, they'll give him a pass.
Sure. I mean, maybe if they want that pass, but that's if. I've seen how many families giving clients passes. You go into court, you see that people have gotten passes. They keep getting passes. I've had 2 clients die in the past 6 months. Yeah. It's eventually I don't want that to happen. I'd rather somebody have to deal with the hard stuff and get through it.
I'll say one thing here too is what I'm really the most.
No, I did not eat the clients.
We also had a question for.
Yeah, one second. The one thing I'm really shocked about is the fact that people in LawTube, again, not you, but in LawTube, a lot of people are they're okay. Pray for Nick and all this. I hope he does quit. I hope his kids are good. All that stuff. But I'm surprised that people are shocked that people are covering this and joking or maybe being holy fuck, look at this. It's don't y'all know this is the internet? This is YouTube. A lot of people are shocked. Can you believe they're covering it? It's that's the thing. I'm welcome to YouTube, the internet. If you want to not be on YouTube and the internet, don't stream or post videos. Yeah. Stay on your, you know what I mean? That's the one thing I'm shocked about.
No. Well, it's because I think for you guys, people didn't know who you, a lot of people don't know who you are. So they say you guys just, they're running the score up on Nick's every other fucking week. Nick Fuentes, Review Tech, whoever.
Review Tech, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you guys, part of your thing is, this is what you cover.
I'll be real. It is. I'll be real. It's exploitative.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say that
that's your bag?
Would you say though that we're any more exploitative than LawTube people streaming people's trials of their worst day and making fun of them?
There we go.
Well, and that's the thing here, because and I brought that up, but somebody was bitching in my chat about it the one day. I think it was on Friday. What if this wasn't Nick? We'd all be like, "Oh wow, it's interesting and cool." If it's Vosh or Destiny or insert whoever.
Or me with Aim and how Nick covered Aim. He went after me.
Yeah, if you guys got all clipped up on that, I'd be covered. Holy shit, PPP got arrested. Check this shit out, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be covering it. And now it's somebody I know. And it's okay. And people were mad that when I was reading the police report, it mentioned Nick talked to the cops. And I was joking, no, Nick, no. Am I supposed to sit here like Walter Cronkite with Kennedy's funeral? Oh my God! Here comes this all. Do that. That's not how I do shit.
And I'll tell you this too. When we do this shit, we're disgracing internet celebrity bums, in my opinion. Whereas when LawTube does this, is it not a stain upon the court and the legal system? If you want to get up on your high horse and get indignant about it, I'm not fucking with the legal system. And there's been questions about whether or not this influences juries or trials or, I remember there was a time where they wouldn't let anybody cover trials. They tried to shut it down for a while, Sean.
Yeah. No, and I've made jokes before. I'll sit there and I got the little, Google Drawing app on while we're watching and check that out. Look at this. Look at that. Or even during Darryl Brooks, the guy who ran over all those people in Wisconsin. People are commenting on the door behind the witness, the lock is off center by 1/8 of an inch, and it's driving me fucking crazy. I I bring it to people. They can see things. I'd like to think they're getting educated. But sure, it's entertainment too. I'm not gonna lie about that or make any bones.
No,
Like,
I respect you a lot,
entertainment.
Sean. You know, you're like the most like so far from what I've seen on LawTube.
Like, I'll give some
one of the most
play-by-play and
honest.
color commentary.
No, I see you as being very like at least real. You are being real, and I respect that about you. I really do. You know, would you put the medallion on?
Well, you're the
no.
Sunday school pastor who plays the guitar.
No, I'll
and
call
goes
the
there
Diocese of Cleveland, and they can come do an exorcism on it.
We got Christy French for $30, big super chat.
Yeah.
Sean, I can't help but lose a lot of respect for you going on with Ralph and Vito. Nice
I didn't
clout
go on with
chasing.
Vito.
Maybe you're the next Ricky Rackets. Okay, I don't know if you went on with Vito
I
or
was
not.
say, when did I go? I won't fucking go on with Vito.
You won't go on with Vito, but you would go on with Ralph.
No, Ralph was very nice about it, and he said he was nice about it. I went on there. He had questions. And I told Ralph I'm not there to bag on Nick. If you have questions about his case, I'll be happy to answer them.
I understand what you're doing, Sean, but I mean, you know the stuff that Ralph's done, right?
Sure, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
You know, and I mean, he's out.
Sure, like, I don't want to.
No,
like,
I understand. I'm not new to the internet. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like
I will never go. I would never. You know,
I like how Vito's so low. He's below Ralph.
He's
Like,
hanging off a cliff.
Well, because Vito is like, he's considered a pedophile. Like, and that's his own fault.
And I get it. It's all a joke. Well, it's a really bad fucking joke that nobody believes.
No, man, I don't think. Oh, by the way, everyone who's watching, links are up there for Sean and Aaron's channel. Go sub to them if you want. So appreciate the guys for being here.
Greed for $20. He says, doesn't it seem that people shocked and praying are people who tuned out a long time ago? For those of us watching, this is no surprise. Curious to see how they'd respond if they watched even the last 6 months of Ricada.
I can see some people saying that they haven't been on for a while. I think for some people too, they're just nice. Like, you know, well, I hope they get better. I pray for them. And I think for like the average person, sure. But I think for, you know, for example, anybody who's saying like, oh, this is the farm's fault. Well, they've been following along enough to know, like, you know, you can have your, I hope he gets better. Yeah, I really do. I hope to God he gets better.
Yeah.
You know what? I honestly, here's what I hope. I hope to God this is all fucking wrong. I'll eat a fucking hat. It'll be good for me because there's no carbs in it either. I hope it's all fucking wrong. Like, let's be real. I hope it is. But we all know it's not.
Let's go!
Yeah, I know.
Let's go! Yes.
Not wrong. It's
Aaron's like,
it's the exact opposite of not wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazier.
So far from not wrong. I can
got-
physically see what the cops have in the evidence locker right now and describe it to you by memory.
We got
I'm sure you can
anonymous.
describe it.
Anonymous for $10. Sean, do you think a lot of LawTube people are backing Nick because they think they owe him for Nick bumping them up and getting them their boost to success?
Great question.
Don't say bomb.
Yeah, pardon the pun.
Don't say bomb.
Yes. Some of them probably. I can't speak for any of them, but I mean, there's got to be some of them that have that thought. There's got to be some of them that think they probably haven't been really paying attention to where he's at. They're giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm sure some of them feel that way. And, you know, I got on Nick's show and I got I got monetized because like 200 more subs subscribed to me. But after that, I've done what the fuck I've done to make myself where I'm at today. All 20,000 subscribers.
So, Sean, you don't feel like you owe Ricada like a lifetime loyalty?
No.
Do you view going on this show as a betrayal of the loyalty you owe him?
No. I haven't said anything that, you know, like, what have I done to betray his trust? He's talked to me. He's like, he's talked to me in confidence about things. I'll never reveal those things. Like, I'm never going to talk about that. I'm not going to air Dear John him. So no, I haven't betrayed him at all. I mean, sure, I'm saying what I think he's done wrong, but that's not a betrayal. Sometimes you have to call people out. And like when I was on with Ralph, people are like, oh, men don't call other men out. No, that's what men do. Bro, your shit's not right. Get it fixed. That's how men act. They don't go, oh, well, you should talk about it. Like, no, you're wrong. It needs to get addressed.
Fuck
We all know
that,
it's
John.
wrong.
Fuck that, John. I'm pissed because I didn't get a bump and I gave him my wife.
Brutal. Brutal. Well, for you, Aaron, Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed for $10. Remember, we're still fielding questions for both Aaron and Sean.
Yeah.
He says, please ask Aaron if all the adults were under the influence and doing this degeneracy at any time while kids were there.
No, I don't believe there was a time where everybody was inebriated and kids were around. I don't because I was on drugs so little. Because I did coke probably 4 times.
Were there times though when Ricada was drunk or high when the children were there?
Yes. I'm gonna say
most likely.
The fact that you're even hesitating says that yes, there was.
Here's why. I can't remember a specific instance, but my gut would. There probably was a time, but I don't recall an exact instance where Nick was bugging out on coke.
Because you're telling me most of the day he's high or drunk, right?
He would do cocaine during the day.
Yeah.
Right.
But drinking,
So,
the real heavy drinking came at nighttime.
Would he ever interact with his children during the day?
Look.
Yes.
Yes.
Look,
so
yes.
he would interact with his children.
There were
while
times
he was on drugs.
Okay,
He had an ounce of coke.
Let me put this in a way where Sean might be proud of me. I did see instances where he did coke during the day.
How about you answered in a way I'd be proud of you?
Yeah, no, because then I could go to heaven, but I might.
How about you answer it in a way that would make Jesus proud?
Allow me to paraphrase the movie Kingdom of Heaven. God does not know me. Actually, you know what? He might.
Enjoy the lake of fire, friend.
Yeah, thank you. No, I saw him do cocaine during the day. I also saw him talk to his children during the day. Whether those two things overlapped, I can't remember a specific instance. There is a chance.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This is again my theory, a thought. If he's got an ounce of coke and he's buying it regularly and he's not trafficking it, he was on and judging by his nose and like how stuffed it was constantly, he was on coke every single day. There was not a day he was not on coke, in my opinion.
That is not an unsafe assumption.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you buy an ounce of coke, folks, if you don't know, that's a lot. And if you're buying that on the reg and you're not trafficking it, and he's doing God knows what else, Cat and fucking Molly, this, that, the other, and his nose, I would say this like in like December, I think. I was like, his nose sounds a little bit funny. And then like every app we covered it, it's just like worse. It's like not a day.
Aaron, I do have one question. I have a question for Aaron.
Let's give the table to Sean. Let's give the table to Sean.
I have a question for you, Aaron. And I don't know if you'll know the answer to this. Like, were you guys ever worried you guys were getting like just straight like garbage, like full of fent or meth mixed in with it?
I asked about that. I said I thought they were, cutting this shit with all because like again, I don't even know shit about coke.
They are.
And Nick would always have these fucking answers for every question I ever. Anytime I tried to push him a little bit on either cutting back or is this okay or is this good, Nick always had like a WebMD style answer in his head for you. He would always go like, no, because the guy I get it from, it's tested it's very pure. And then I have tests that I can do for it. And I can make sure that the chances that there's fentanyl in any of this is almost zero. And that's kind of all you have to go on is his word.
Well, if there wasn't any fentanyl, there's a good chance you're probably doing meth in that as well.
Speed, fucking crush.
I mean, the idea, like pure yayo is not a modern thing.
Yeah. No, it's going to be caught. It's going to be caught.
I will say, I asked him about fentanyl. He goes, no, there would be no fentanyl in this because there's tests I can do. And when I do the tests, it shows.
Oh, he tested it too? He tested it too,
I never saw him test it.
I knew one guy who used to test it. Like, he had like a whole kit. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking nuts.
Okay, we're getting a lot of super chats. HMS Erebus for $40. Very generous.
Let's go.
He says, thank you for addressing the Denny's joke, lol. But on a serious note, did Aaron ever hear Nick or Kayla talk about the masseuse that was getting too intimate with her, and she went back 2 more times?
For the tit massage?
I saw the video clip of that. I do remember Kayla. I don't remember the going back twice thing, but I do remember Kayla telling me about a traumatic experience she had with a masseuse. I don't remember the going back twice thing until I saw the video a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just suggests, like, to your credit, that she might have been unhappy in the marriage for a long time and looking for another sexual outlet, right?
I think both of them were remarkably unhappy. I mean, when you talk to them, I mean, you don't talk about your spouses behind their backs the way they did and, like, still love each other. I mean, it got pretty nasty. And then the way they fought was fucking insane. I mean, we're talking about throwing shit. We're talking about yelling some of the most awful things I've ever heard. The cornering in the bathroom, the hitting yourself, the throwing drinks on each other. It got pretty wild.
Okay. To the panel, Ethan Van Sciver said he got a call from Nick on a burner phone. Then EVS was in Medicare's chat buffing the Baldo. Do you think Rekieta is coordinating his defense behind the scenes?
I will say, to answer that, I got a call at 11:38 on Friday night, 11:38 p.m. from a number I don't recognize, but it says Rekieta, N on it. I don't know if that was a spoof number. I don't know if somebody was fucking around. I was asleep, but it says Rekieta, N. At 11:38 Friday night.
That might have been him.
So I'm going to introduce a couple of things that we haven't talked about that have happened during this show. So one, Rekieta posted a post on Locals where he sounded borderline suicidal.
Yeah.
He then posted a clarifying Locals later saying that he was not suicidal. You know you're having a good time when you have to clarify you're not suicidal. He is now also liking all of Diddler Dax, Dick Masterson's tweets defending him. And it seems like that's the narrative he's going to go with. I really think he should just shut the fuck up and let his lawyers handle things. I think Sean would agree with that. But, Sean, it doesn't look like that's the direction it's going.
No. And don't talk to the police, but also don't talk in a way the police could find out what you're talking about. That includes this.
Also, the court of public opinions here right now, and on Twitter, and everyone's just like, you're using Dick Masterson of all people, the guy who's also a drug. He says he does fucking like coke all the time and parties and Burning Man and this and that and the other. Right? He's open about it. He got Ralph to get fucking so drunk to the point where he ended up in a fucking divorce. Right? Like Pansu left him while he was at Dick's house. I'm gonna build a church. Like it was that Dick encourages
I really
people.
think that Rekieta should fly. If there are no conditions, he should fly to California and party with Dick. Why not? He's smarter than all of us. Him and Dax, they're the smartest guys out there. They can do as much drugs as they want, drink as much as they want. It's us who are foolish, of course. Who are we to tell them what to do? Right?
Yeah, they're adults, right?
That's the argument, Sean. Like, who is anybody to tell them what they should do, right?
A wise man once told me a man does what a man wants to do. And if he wants to go do it, then he'll go do it. If he doesn't want to do it, and he wants to get his shit right, he won't. I hope he doesn't.
I'm telling you, I think the best way, and this is how he can prove to us that he is a real man that's got his shit together, is to get on the plane to Diddler Dax's house, and they should stream drunk from there. And if they don't, it goes to show that he's not in control of his problem. He needs to be able to drink on stream and go off, right? In fact, why is he such a pussy?
You just don't want to do show prep for a moment.
Why doesn't this bitch go live right now? If he doesn't have a problem, if he doesn't go live tonight, because he said he was going to go live last night and bitched out.
And tonight.
Why doesn't he go live after this broadcast with a drink in his hand, drinking, proving to us he can handle it, and explain all this shit? Because if he doesn't, seems to me like he doesn't have control over his drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean,
You're a dangerous man, Ashton.
He won't do it.
I understand the
pussy.
gambit you're throwing down.
No, but Dick, no,
Sean's
no.
like-
But I know you're listening, Dick. Tell him to do it. What is
Yeah.
he, some sort of fucking pussy? He can't handle his fucking liquor? What is he, even a fucking man at all? Fuck, any man worth his salt can handle his fucking whiskey. Half bottle, full bottle, 40 ouncer, 60 ouncer. Let's go. Like,
we're all wrong. We're all wrong.
No,
right?
tell him, Dick. No, tell him how it's got to be. I'd love to see this shit. Let's see it.
Wasn't Dick just shitting on him?
Of course he
What,
was.
2 days ago? Like, Nick, if you're watching this, which you probably are, Dick was shitting on you and laughing. Vito was howling at the police report, going, oh, what a fucking, oh. And then Dick even said, you were all right, right? But then you're out, and now he's like, oh, polish his balls.
They're both pussies who can't handle their liquor. They can't handle their drugs. They won't go on stream doing drugs and drinking together. They're bitch made. That's
Ladies
sad.
and gentlemen, the moral of tonight's story is make sure no matter what, just fuck your own wives. That's what we're trying to say.
Oh, bitch made pussy. Come on. I bet you won't pussy.
They're selling T-shirts with the guy's mugshot on them.
Who?
You know how upset I was to find out that's illegal in Minnesota?
Oh, fuck. As if they can ever enforce it. But like, this is crazy, Sean. Ricada views these guys who fired it up, made fun of him, started selling T-shirts with his mugshot. He views them as his real friends, not you.
We Dick did that.
Not anybody that's critical. Well, Ralph is, and I don't know if Dick is or not. But, like, imagine, though. He thinks those are his real friends, the people who are telling him it's not a problem. Isn't that fucked?
Oh, I agree. No, I Noel was spot on about that. These are, oh no, you're living a life, King. You're doing it right. It's like, yeah, the day after, oh, he's fine. It's like, no, he's not. And yeah, that picture Noel put up of Dick and Vito with the biggest shit-eating grins on their faces when they did their stream on Thursday night was just like that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, it was that tweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Noel posted
I mean, I smiled, but I wasn't laughing.
Well, we've
but
got
like that. Yeah. They were literally.
It's fine to be shocked. It's fine.
Great.
It's fine to be like, "Holy shit! Look at this! This is crazy!" Right? Sorry, what do you think, Ashton?
We got Lipstick Larry for 4. He says, "Aaron, when will you go bald completely? The hair is cringe, bro. Call it a day and go bald."
I'm gonna hang on just a little bit longer if that's all right. If I can make it to 40, that would be nice. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh fuck, man. You're not even
I'm glad
40.
that's what you took from this.
You know that's his main fixation is
Lipstick Larry's our boy. He's our boy. He does some funny songs.
All because I had to do the fucking felted thing. All right.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see here.
Look at Ashton, that gorgeous boy with his beautiful locks.
It's one day it'll be gone too. Don't worry. Kolya Dante for 5 says, Sean, you quoted the statute wrong. A1 is neglect by deprivation. B2 is what Nick is charged with. Reckless neglect by exposure to drugs. Kayla's got A2 written on her detention order. Still an easy typo.
It's written on there, but whoever finger fucked it at the jail probably clicked on the wrong one because otherwise that's now implying she did physical abuse and or there was some sexual shit going on, which doesn't make any sense given what we know because that's not even in the complaint. The complaint just shows general neglect. So that's why.
Fair enough.
We had somebody in chat ask, Sean, do you think Robert Barnes is right and that the search warrant was unconstitutional?
I don't know how he knows that unless he's seen the affidavit and everything about it. Maybe, and I don't know. Maybe he has, but I, you know, Robert Barnes is a smart attorney, but I think it's kind of like reacting off of what little he knows about it. But maybe he's seen shit. I don't know. Maybe he knows something. I don't know. I mean, I highly doubt he's correct. But once again, I want a low carb diet, so that hat will be pretty tasty.
Now, we have apparently that Star Wars girl is taking shots at Aaron, calling him a clout-chasing rat, and saying only now that Nick is caught Did you bury him?
No, I buried Nick before he was caught. I buried Nick before the drunken stream and after it.
You were fucking you were laying down the gauntlet before this all happened.
Yeah, I mean, once the arrest happened, I went, okay, I guess I don't have to hide anything anymore because a lot of the shit I was going to say just kind of came out.
No, I remember you were like putting out, like you were explaining everything like slowly, like you were drip feeding it out. So
yeah, I was basically seeing if he was going to keep, like, because he said he would keep making these little quips on his stream about, you know, oh, Aaron wasn't there. He's got to sow narratives, this and that. I'm like, okay, I'll turn the valve a little bit more because you said that, you little cunt. And then I would say something, and then he'd let out a little something, and I go, okay, now me. And then he got arrested. I mean, talk about a guy trying to story top you. And so I figured I had to go harder.
no, and then you were like, you know what? Okay, it's all out now. Now I can like really like unload because you know it's done. But yeah, you're right.
My show's about talking about my life, and there's nothing really more at the front and center of my life at this moment than this. I mean, this is kind of what occupies a lot of my time at the moment.
Yeah.
Carl Sargenman for $7 says, ask Sean what the success rate is for people who go to rehab after being charged with something like this. Does he think Nick and Kayla will fix themselves?
It's low, right?
I mean, overall, recovery is low. I mean, people, you know, will relapse at some point, but a lot of people just don't ever get it right. It's hard. It's really, really hard.
I'm on day like almost 200 and it's still tough. You know, it's every day.
You're at the point where it actually gets even tougher because now you're in the rhythm and you're like, oh, I'm actually good to go now. And you, like, maybe I can handle
one beer. Ah, but then I go, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Nah.
So we had another one from Anonymous for 5. Question for Sean and Aaron. What do you guys think of Montegraph predicting Nick's future 2 years in advance down to the letter? For those of you who don't know, there's a clip circulating where Montegraph says, I think at some point in the next few years, Rekieta will go to jail for some unspeakable stuff.
Wow. I mean, that's a better prediction than I would have made 6 months ago. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
He got it right, but, you know, it's...
Broken clocks right twice a day. Yeah, you know, it's... Monty just happened to be right in this circumstance. You got to imagine, guys, what do you think Monty's reaction is to this stream tonight? Is
Champagne. Champagne. He's got We Are the Champions playing right now.
I actually don't think so.
No.
Like in the aftermath of like when Monty approached Noel about retracting on the website, and Monty actually talked to me because the whole issue about whether or not he had made a snuff film with the Umbrella Man thing. He was actually very nice. He approached me in an email. He's like, look, that's not right. Here's a bunch of proof. And I looked at it, and like Noel said, he looked at it, and you're like, okay, cool. What would you like to do about it? Like, I'd be happy to retract. And I did it on my Thursday night show a while ago now. But I think Monty, like, he's like, oh, this is helpful for him, but I'm sure he actually probably, you know, like, I don't think Monty is thrilled to see this family be destroyed. I'm sure he's like, wow, this kind of sucks, but to my benefit. If I had to guess, I mean, because if he really wanted to come out and gloat, I'm sure he would have done it by now.
We got Texas Wench for 5 saying, question for Aaron. Did you fall in love with Nick's wife? It almost seems like it from the way you talk about her.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yes, I said that. I said, yeah.
He was pretty open about that.
We both were pretty, we fell pretty deep.
Pardon the pun there too, right?
And then we got N-word question for Sean. He says, is Aaron legally liable for not reporting after admitting on live stream that he was in the house while there were drugs under the same roof as the Rekieta children?
No, he's not a mandatory reporter. He's not a member of the state law lists that out. You're generally people who like a clergy member, teachers, nurses. In some situations, attorneys can be mandated reporters, but not in this situation. Any of it would apply. There's specific things.
To be clear, though, and I think Ashton would definitely agree, being the voice of morality here, that doesn't absolve me of the moral imperative I had to do it and how
that's a separate matter.
I fell on that. Yeah. I mean, that's still, I'm responsible in that way.
Fair enough.
Well, nobody's Yeah, but legally, no, you didn't have an obligation. Then.
We have Montegraph Rasputin for $20. Can you play the video of my prediction of Tsar Nick's downfall? Gigi Evans found. We don't actually have it on hand, but
I could get it in 2 seconds.
Okay. Aaron, I do have a question for
I'll
you.
grab it for later. Yeah.
All right, let him
the change in the background. I don't think I ever heard about why.
Just because, April was done with the show and we had a lot of like old fans who were like, we want more of the radio background where you had shit up on the walls and things like that. So it was just kind of a changing of era and everything else. We're still working on it's a work in progress, but we'll get there.
How's Johnny?
Fucking
we
Christ.
love Johnny on this show.
Oh my God.
We love Johnny.
What a goddamn disaster. How can Murph make anybody cry?
Yeah, no.
I mean,
is he good?
No,
I actually felt bad. I actually
fine.
was like,
cool. No, Johnny's fine. He and I, we shut the show down. We went to breakfast.
But it was rough. Like, I was like, we made a lot of jokes.
It was one of the few segments where I actually kind of felt uncomfortable going because, like, it was sad.
I watched it, Ashton. Yeah, you seemed really uncomfortable.
You flaked editing it.
The 50th wheelchair.
Did you watch the uncut version?
Had a crisis of conscience.
Did you watch the uncut version or the clip channel version?
Clip channel version,
buddy.
It was
Flaked took out about 200 wheelchair jokes. I went fucking. I was saying like he's got to stand up for himself, like, shit like that. And Flake's like, he left in a few, but if you watch the uncut version, it was mean. And actually, at the end, I was like, "Look, Johnny, I'm sorry, but when he was like, my life's tough," and I'm like.
I mean, the guy's got really bad, like
I know,
really bad MS.
I know. No, he seems like a nice guy. Honestly, God bless Johnny.
And the other thing, he's a great dude and he's a tough guy, and he'll never want to take a day off. Like there'll be times where I'll talk to him. He's like, I'm just having a really tough time. I'm like, dude, take the day. It's okay. No, I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, all right. Like he's a bad dude, man. Like he really fucking gives her. But like sometimes we all just. Like, look, with all this going on and the divorce and all this shit, like I've not broken down, but I've teared up a few times on the air. It happens, it's a real moment. You go with it, but that one just kind of overwhelmed him.
We have a question from A for 5. He says, "Does Aaron know when Nick started using cocaine?"
Before I got there, I believe he said around 40 years old. It had been about 2 years. By the time I got there, is what he said.
Damn. I wonder how it started. I'm sure someone just offered it once. He tried it and went, whoa, this rules.
What Nick claimed is that, again, what Nick has told me is that Kayla encouraged them to get into it because she thought, based on his show, she thought that's who he wanted as a woman, as someone who was into that kind of stuff. So he says that Kayla wanted to do it to, like, impress him or be what she thought he wanted her to be. That's the explanation I got. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 2 years makes sense too with his look, how he looked.
Yeah.
2 years later.
Sneed for 10. I think this was kind of already answered, but who do you think gave Nick that black eye, Kayla, or maybe the oldest son?
No, his oldest son is he's a gentle kid. He's a good kid. He wouldn't have done that. I think, look, he was gone for 45 minutes. I know how long those breaks usually take. Like I said, Kayla and I were always upstairs. Nick and April were downstairs during the streams. 45 minutes is because a fight. I do believe a fight happened because I do know that that morning they had a fight. I had gotten a message from Kayla that morning. She wrote to me. She said, not that we were in constant communication. It was strange. She wrote to me. She said, I can't talk to you anymore. It's all gone bad. You were right. This has destroyed everyone. I'm so sorry. We're all low. And then April sent me a message where she said Kayla had like scratched Nick on the chest during a fight that they were having that morning about something. And then, so I'm assuming that the fight continued during that break. And I would guess that Kayla maybe threw something at him or Nick hit his face on the wall or the door or something.
That's what I think happened. He pulled a William Holden, hit something.
That could be it too.
Well, that's what you have to hope, right? I mean, Sean, like if Kayla's hitting him with books or throwing stuff at him, like, what do you like?
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I got 2 texts from 2 different people on Monday, and that was the same day he lost the appeal. it sounded like it was a fucking nightmare of a day over there.
It's like that was the crescendo to all the fucking coke and booze. Go ahead, John.
Well, I mean, the thing that probably would get him the most is he lost by the slimmest of margins, actually. The way the courts ruled on that if the courts of Colorado had figured out a couple of things, they would have gone with them. So Nick lost by like the slimmest of margins.
Okay.
Monty barely edged him out on that.
We've got a question that I think is really important. Aaron, what is the truth behind the 107-degree fever? Did he really have 107-degree fever?
I do want to know this too.
I did bring influenza into the home. I was sick. April was sick.
Wait, that was you?
You're telling me this is actually real?
Wait. I'm getting to the 107.
Okay. All right.
Having a fever of 107, I would have driven Nick to the hospital myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
We used a thermometer. We used one of the scan over your head thermometers on his. Listen to this. It sounds like I was in a fucking commune and we're all just lording over you. God, I was a anyway. His temperature. The amount of laughter is upsetting. That's what I'm saying. It's we used one of the thermometers that you scan over the head, and one of them said 104, and we were like, that's pretty bad. And we did it again, and it was like 101.5 or whatever. So he didn't have a 107 temperature, but he is kind of a little girl like that, and he exaggerates.
So it was my theory. I'm like, he was probably so drunk. The 7 was actually a 1, and he fucking
No, the one. I mean, it sounds more dramatic to say 107. You sound like kind of a pussy if you can't talk into a microphone with a 102 fever.
Yeah.
But it was pretty bad. And then it was funny because April and Nick got like a week and a half after we were all done being sick, they got sinus infections. And instead of admitting that they were just doing too much and everything else, they looked at me and they said, "Oh, must be hanging around from that flu." I'm like, guys, fucking come on. Jesus, there's bloody tissues in the fucking garbage constantly from blowing your nose. And you've got sinus infections.
Don't miss that.
Did the kids see the bloody tissues and ever question?
Here's my thing. Like at my home, like because April and I would stay at our home, obviously. My bathroom, it's fucking this part is heartbreaking because with addiction, you do watch, especially when people are still in denial that they have a problem. You watch the person you loved basically die, and like Revenge of the Body or Body Snatcher, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they become somebody else. And I'm watching this person blow their nose, and it's just blood into the tissue, and my bathroom garbage is full of bloody tissues. Heartbreaking. And then you go and you search all the other bathrooms to make sure there aren't bloody tissues so the fucking children when they're home don't see it.
My God.
It fucking I know I tell a lot of jokes about this, and I think a lot of it is to kind of protect myself in a way from how fucking awful this is, because there are still times throughout the day where I think about what's been going on the last 6 months, and I still do break down. And one of the few moments of peace I get is going on people's streams, telling some jokes, saying things that, you know, may be a little revealing, but it's like, otherwise I have all this shit inside of me, and like a lot of it still hurts. And like, as sick as it may be, there may be moments throughout the day where I'll be like, I do miss hanging out with Kayla or something like that. And it'll just be like, it's heart-wrenching. And when I do this, as unhealthy as this may be, I feel a little better, and I laugh instead of thinking about either, holy shit, the fucking things I did were horrible and unforgivable, or the heartbreaking and sad.
We have a kitty for $100. Aaron, tell us about the time Kayla asked you to slather her in SpaghettiOs and give her little kisses. Did this happen?
Had she asked, I would have in a heartbeat. But no, it did not happen.
Wait a minute, Aaron. No! Aaron, buddy, what?
Guys, relax. I'm not eating SpaghettiOs off of anyone.
I know.
Okay, I mean, all right. And then we've got kitty for another $100.
Women I fell in love with got arrested for cocaine with guns and children in the house. I'm not doing well.
You know how to pick him there, but
right.
And we got kitty for another $100. saying,
let's go.
for fuck's sake, Aaron, if any of this
Wow.
was true, you would have told it before today on your own stream. Fuck off, you stupid cunt.
$100? Let's
alluded-
fucking go.
Dude, I've alluded to a lot of this. I also have been talking with Andy the whole week, and we've kind of here's how we're gonna let this out and everything else. I did tell
You
Andy,
were pumped. You were like, let's fucking go. I'm like, all right, let's fucking do this.
I told a lot of this stuff and hinted at a lot of this stuff on my show.
Yeah.
I also know on my show we've got to cover a lot of the stuff that's going on. So a lot of the tawdry gossip shit, I figured let's kind of do it on this show and kind of move on from it, and then we'll cover more this aspect of things. So yeah, I told Andy. Andy booked me. I told him I'd tell some of these stories on this show because
he just told me, trust me, it's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna drop it all. I'm pumped, and that's all it was.
I wanted to tell it actually with Ashton here because I've heard a lot of his moral judgments of all of this stuff, and I was very interested to hear his take on things.
I mean, you don't quite want to hear. We got, let's see here, internet friend for 4. Can we get a shout out to Stoney's Bar?
Yeah, Stoney's.
If we could, Cheetos and the team at Stoney's, just wonderful people. If you're in Central Minnesota, the best biker and dive bar in town is Stoney's Bar in downtown.
Oh shit! I wasn't even showing that. Anyway, it's gone. It's gone. Don't worry, you'll see it on the show.
They didn't see it.
And an internet friend had a question to the panel. Did Rekieta really fall victim? Like, was he always like this, or was it a fall? And is Rekieta's defense going to be state persecution now that April will be state's witness? To anybody?
I mean, generally speaking, substances magnify who you are. You are that person without them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's usually the answer there. I mean, like, you are that person. Whatever you're taking just makes it worse. And then, no, if April testifies against him, there's, like, he can't say, oh, that bitch, I trusted that bitch and she lied to me. It's like, that's not a defense.
I will say,
It's a disloyal April.
Disloyal? Oh, with substances, though, you do become, like, a really retarded version of yourself, and I'm already retarded, so it's like times 10 for me. But you know what I mean? Like you are the same person, but it makes you it amplifies paranoia. It makes you think things that aren't real. It makes you go wait, and you'll start to overanalyze things. Anyone who's done acid
I'm not going to argue on this, but I am curious because I know, Sean, you're pretty libertarian, right? Is that fair to say?
I mean, on some things I'm pretty libertarian, but then on some things I'm throwing Pinochet out of the fucking helicopter. So it depends on what we're talking about.
I do have a lot of libertarian sympathies myself. Do you think, though, that cocaine should be legal for adults to use?
No. I mean,
No.
If we were to go down the road of we're gonna just do it and God sort everyone out, that would destroy society.
Yeah,
it would.
I mean, in the places,
it actually would.
Yeah, and
I was just curious because
no, I don't think so. I think weed is probably good enough, and I mean,
you'd think, right?
It's too fucking addictive, right? You'll have some people who are like, I'll try it one time. And then if it's available at the store, like cigarettes are, I'll do coke. And then you'll be fucked up. Trust me, anyone here who's done coke and been addicted, they know it is fucked. And when you're down that hole, it gets worse and worse. If you do it once, it's not that bad. A month, 2 months, 6 months in, you're fucked. It's over. Yeah.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
Well,
I don't even know what to say anymore.
Damn, what a fucking show, guys. Holy.
I think we've got in all of the questions. If you do have a question, get it in soon. Because I think we're basically reaching the end.
Yeah.
Do you think at this point? Or do you?
I think so too. But hey, if you've missed any of this, on the Clip channel, go sub to it. And we'll shout out you guys on the Clip channel as well, obviously. Go sub to it. We'll have everything and every show that we do is clipped out there. So go sub to it right now. Thank you.
So you can super chat down below where it says super chat. Like if you scroll down on the page, you can get a super chat in. But I think we're going to start to wrap this up because I know Steel Toe has a show at like 7 in the morning.
We weren't going to go on. We were scheduled to take Memorial Day off, but we'll go over some of this stuff tomorrow at 7 Central.
Hell yeah.
And we'll go on for a couple hours. It'll be a truncated show, I think, tomorrow.
So 8 Eastern, 8 a.m., right?
Yes, a.m. Yes, sir.
a.m. Eastern. Yes. Okay, cool. And Sean, how about you, man?
Oh, I had a bunch of stuff set for my Thursday show, and then something happened. It kind of derailed all that. So, no, I don't have anything else right now, and I have a Thursday show every Thursday at 9:30 Eastern. The only time zone that matters. Sorry, Aaron, but that's the truth.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I got nothing else.
I had you guys linked up there for like half the show, potentially criminal, Steel Toe morning show. Both of you guys were fantastic. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Aaron, for speaking your truth and saying the crazy stories. And thank you, Sean, for for hanging out, man.
Your legal analysis and everything.
It's great.
And I know I got a bit aggressive. I feel bad about that. I'm just, I actually just am really pissed off at a lot of the way people are reacting to this. And I took it out on you, which I shouldn't have. So
that's okay. Nick already did that once. So I
think we were nicer. He was nicer.
No, I understand. I can tell you.
All right, man. Thanks, guys.
Well, we'll see you. And we have a few super chats to read out that weren't questions, more so as statements.
Yeah, we'll hang out for a little bit, guys. So, yeah, all right. Aaron and Sean, we'll see you all later. Peace.
See you guys.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. Hope to speak soon. Peace.